Hello. Welcome. All right. All righty. Let's see. Who's coming in to have a chit chat? I got a few things. Um, yeah. So live. Oh, I put love. Live now on YouTube. And I'm gonna go live on there we go. So welcome everybody and thank you for joining me. I know it's later in the day. I'm not sure who's around or what's going on. Um, just a lot of craziness going on. And I was watching um, just a feedback, give me feedback on petrified giants. Have you ever seen that? And they talk about some of the mountains that have a petrified, and it looks like a human being. Um, in Penticton, as you're going south, it's called Indian Rock Mountain. And the Indian Rock Mountain, oh, you have, okay. Indian Rock Mountain, as you're going south from Penticton, past OK Falls, there's a mountain, and you look at it, and it's the face of an Indian, right? And the way the top of the mountain, it's flat, and it kind of looks like his headdress, right? And it's the face, like you can say it, and they say that the face, he was a famous chief, and the First Nations that lived there called it Indian Head Mountain. They called it, well, they may not have said Indian Head Mountain, but anyways, Indian Head Mountain. And they said um, the buffalo, as the buffalo ran off the edge of the cliff, carved his face into and etched his face into the mountain. Now, a lot of these different mountains have legends of
It's a giant.
yeah.
Is that
So
what the data is suggesting? Look at the composition of the Himalayas. We're told that pink salt is just ancient ocean deposits. But analyze the iron content, that specific shade of pink.
So
it's the exact oxide.
if you think about it, like Himalayan salt has a different consistency per se than say Celtic salt or other types of salt, iodized salt for table salt, and then you have Hawaiian black salt is another one, right? So the Himalayan salt, now that if you think about it, is that you're consuming dried blood from a giant, basically what they're saying. And that there's different formations of mountains when you look at them.
Native signature of hemoglobin blood crystallized over eons. Look at Mount Susitna in Alaska, the sleeping lady. Scientists call it a trick of the eye. But the geological strata don't match standard tectonic uplift. It looks like biological structure because the geometry.
So there's biological structures that are around the world, or they the big if you go to Arizona, you have those big mountains, and then they're flat, right? And when they've done studies on them and taken it, it's like almost like it's been millions of years of petrified trees. Now, stick with me. Part of the theory of some of these trees that were so big, and that's why you had mammoth of dinosaurs, or the mammoth itself. You would have, like, say, mythological or dragons and that, because the earth was so oxygen enriched that giant people uh could consume that. Now we wouldn't be able to consume that amount of oxygen today, right? Because our body cannot um work through it. Our body cannot, I was going to say digest it, but as we inhale it, and our bodies cannot process it. That's the word, process it. So when they go back, a lot of these theories, or these different allegedly of the sleeping giants, I find it very interesting because
is too precise to be random erosion. But mountains are rock, not bone. Petrification is just mineral replacement over millions of years. Organic tissue becomes silica. If a massive catastrophe hit, these titans wouldn't rot, they'd turn to stone.
So when we use that salt in our kitchens,
We're consuming ancient fossilized DNA. The question is if the mountains are bodies, who or what was big enough to bury them.
Yeah. And then you can go into the book of Enoch, right? And that's one of the books that is missing from the Bible. It's one of the ones, and it talks about the different angels that have came down and made it with the women on earth here, and then came the Nephilims. So the book of Enoch, I've sort of gazed through it. I haven't read it, but it is one that I find extremely interesting. And then there is the
these mountains,
other
which included literature that nobody considered scripture at the time,
there's
and seize his cross and use it as a weapon. Crusades, inquisitions, cathedrals funded on the backs of the poor.
there's a
He
book
tells his
in
disciples plainly that the true believer must be that should have been printed on the front cover of every Bible ever made. Do not build. Abate is opening tonight. The risen Christ did not return to comfort his
it's called
disciples.
The Final
He
Word.
returned the way a commander pulls his officers into a room moments before. Paragraph, no content. The single most consequential window in Christian history. And it was handed to you as a blank page. The Mashafa Kadan fills that page. According to the text, Abate is opening tonight. The risen Christ did not return to comfort his disciples. He returned the way a commander pulls his officers into a room moments before the building collapses.
So the time between Jesus dying and Jesus rising, right? And then walked on the earth for 40 days and 40 nights. There's a part of it that it's not, it doesn't say what Jesus did as he walked upon the earth for that time, because that book was taken out, but it wasn't taken out of the Ethiopian book. The Ethiopian Bible has 81 books in it, and our Bible has 66, 68, depending if you're getting the Catholic edition or the King James edition.
He came back
Right.
to warn them. And the first thing he said, the very first thing, was a line that should have been printed on the front cover of every Bible ever made. Do not build temples of stone, for the stone will crumble. Build the temple of the heart, for it is eternal. Read that carefully. He is not
So
offering.
a lot about Jesus that was written is that he didn't come here to build temples. He didn't come here to build a new church per se. You know, he came here to build your heart, to build where, to let you know that you had the power within you and the connection within you. And in here also, in this book, it talks about the predictions, and he did predictions of what was coming forward in the coming years of the Crusades, of the cathedrals that would be built, and the cathedrals that would be built upon the backs of the poor people, because it's through our money, our tidings that you would give the church, that things would be built, or the taxes back when the church and state were one. And I find, like, I know this is what I do. I find all of this so interesting because there's just so much more to this world than what we see. And there's just so much depth to our world, to how we are interconnected. And I find it so interesting that even in here, and this is allegedly and controversial, is that he was the last Jewish sacrifice. And that's what was written too. So according to Judaism, like, you're supposed to have a sacrifice in that, but he was the last sacrifice. So he was the end, supposedly, allegedly, the end of Judaism. And bringing in, because Judaism started with Aries, right? He started with Pisces. And now we're going into Aquarius. So there's going to be a new symbolism, a new sign, maybe a new type of religion per se, that's coming in. And what I'm when I go down these crazy rabbit holes, is that a lot of what was taught to me as a child and going to church and everything else. When you hear this, like it's like in my brain. I don't know if anybody else has this, because I don't know if anybody here is raised, within the stricts of a church or of a religion, right? Where in my brain it's like, yeah, I know that's true. But then I sort of like, ooh, but is it true? Oh my God, that's not what I was taught. That just can't, that can't be the thing. Same with the thing with the Himalayan salts. And I was never like with Himalayan salts. It's funny because it's one that a lot of people go to for, oh, you got to use Himalayan salts for cleansing, you got to use Himalayan salts is the one, like it was really being pushed, especially in the last, say, 20 or 30 years, right? And saying Himalayan salts is the one to use. And I'm just like, oh, well, I could, if you think of, if that's what Himalayan salts is made out of, yeah, I bet you it is healing. But it's kind of being a carnivore or being a cannibal, not a carnivore, but a cannibal. A little bit of cannibalism, would it not be? Interesting. Not sure. But, you just sort of wonder because of, um, it's, am I being too Scorpio for you? But that's what I look at. It's just like, if that's what that is, because you're consuming dead DNA, petrified DNA, the salt, right? And the petrification of blood, right? So I find, all of that very interesting as you know as humans. And well, it's just like a lot of things, people don't realize what they're eating, and they're being a cannibal, right? Not necessarily going and chopping people up and eating them, but in certain things that you consume in day-to-day life, if you actually looked into a lot of the things that are put into your food products, is pretty disgusting. So
Here's something
it's
nobody ever
not
says out loud.
it's not just you know but those are, I just, just having those kinds of thoughts today, and just looking at the different, how things in this world, the creation of this world and how this world is. And I honestly don't believe we are from this earth. Like I think we are created from somewhere else and brought here. I mean, we have four distinct humans that are on this earth, right? And I always, and no offense to, but there's just certain ones I feel are more alien like than, and that's just in the way they do things, and in the foods that they consume, than per se um another, human. Because we have the white, the black, the yellow, right, and the red. So we have those four distinct areas in the world, in race, right? So we have four different races on this world, in this world, that have been created or brought here. And even though some of the DNA is very similar, but when you get into the blood types are different, and you go into the different people's blood types, and you can tell by their different blood types. Like that's why when you send in your DNA and stuff, they can trace what your DNA heritage is, right? They can find that through that. And I'm like, well, okay, if they can find that through your DNA or through your blood, there's a reason for it. There's a reason for it. Uh, it's because I feel like we're not from this earth. Like we didn't come here. And that's why sometimes it feels like, to be a part of nature, to be outside, sometimes it's like it can feel very, we're not a part of nature. We're kind of separated from that nature. Anyways, just another little thought that goes through my little brain as I go through my day. I don't know if anybody else has those thoughts or think about those things. Maybe not. Maybe I'm the only one. But yeah, I just find it just so interesting in the different types of like races and species that there are. Same with fairies. I'm just looking at my little fairy over there of the different levels of fairies. There's different types of fairies, right? And some are good fairies, some are bad fairies, but you got the elfin fairies and you have the many different types of fairies that are around. And fairies are found all over the world. And in different but they might have a different name to them, but they're in a very similar type of way. They're still part of the fairy family, right? So I find that interesting as well. So a lot of when you look at a lot of tales or little stories that folk stories that are told, you when you sit back and you listen to them, there's a lot of the same type of information or history is woven in between them and woven within them as well. So it's just an interesting world that we live in, and I think there's just so much that obviously that we don't know, and so much that we do question and should be questioning in this world. And I feel like it's in our favor. It's in for us to understand more of this world, and understanding more of this world, and the makeup of this world. And I think this is something that people have questioned for a long time, for thousands of years. And wanting to know more about how we got here, what's the creation, and all the different creation stories that there are around the world. I find them very interesting because they all have, many of them have the same type of story. Two people came onto earth. We were created by these two people. There was this garden. Like the Adam and Eve story. The Adam and Eve story is not just from Judaism or Christianity. It's in many different stories and similarities. Anyways, there you go. I will stop chatting away and I'll just get into the astrology. That's just some of the craziness in my mind that is happening today. So a little bit of the cray cray. And the card that kept coming up for me today, which was quite funny, was the Hierophant. And I found it very funny that the Hierophant was coming up, because the Hierophant is definitely a card of wisdom, and it's a card of stop waiting for certainty. You got to step forward. You got to move forward, right? And not only did I pull it out of my deck, but I went on, somebody was pulling cards, and they pulled out the Hierophant. And I went, oh, okay, that's interesting. And I had like two other people. So it's pulled out about 4 times today for me. And I'm like, okay, there's something here. Because it's not a rebellion card, the Hierophant. So it is a card of mastery. It's a card that's remembering of what you know. So it's really about the trusting, the teaching, the practice, the values, spiritual foundation that have carried you through difficult seasons before. So the Hierophant, I feel, is like a strong card. It's a card that shows you that having some kind of stabilization or foundation is extremely important as you move forward. Because I feel like even when you are questioning the world, it's good to have a stabilization. You can't just go and you know meander your way through and question, because it can kind of throw you off if you don't have some kind of stability within yourself and within the world around you, because you can get thrown off quite easily. And with Uranus, I feel he's squaring the nodes, and people are feeling unsettled. I think, with and that can bring in unsettling too, when you look at all of these things that are coming up and information that's coming up in and around the world. That can make it unsettling. I mean, the other thing I just listened to is Pierre, and Pierre was saying that, I mean, we are heading into a recession, or we are in a recession. With the GPT, anyways, GPS, no GPT. The gross national product, GNP, yeah, gross GP. Anyways, that we're going into recession. Unemployment is extremely high, and and the youth unemployment, and that's you don't want a high unemployment with your youth, right? Youth should be able to go out, especially during the summertime, get a job that's at, let's say, you know, I remember getting a job, like getting a job at the rec center, you know, at the front end of at the rec center, or getting a job at McDonald's or Burger King. Something that is just, you know, it's not a job that you're going to do forever. Might be, but I mean, but it's a job, right? It's going to get you some money to get to pay down for your tuition or buy a car or do something, right? They don't have those jobs for kids, you know. Tim Hortons, who was lobbying their restaurant, was lobbying and having meetings with the prime minister to so that they can bring in more foreign workers, and they would, you know, for the government to bring in more foreign workers for Tim Hortons, right? And all of a sudden, unemployment rate came out with the youth, and Dunkin' Donuts is coming into Canada, and they're making they came into Canada before, but now they're coming in with a force. Like, they're coming in where there's only a few in Montreal. They're going to be popping up all over the place because they are saying we're hiring Canadians. So they're not bringing in foreign workers, they're hiring people who are Canadians, which is which is something that Tim Hortons hasn't been doing, obviously, we all know this. So this is where it's, you know, Tim Hortons is like, "Holy shit, we're gonna start losing a lot of people," because the one thing with Tim Hortons, it is the boomers are actually a large percentage of people that go there, and they go there because of convenience, right? And then it comes out of habit. If a Dunkin' Donuts opens and it's like 5 minutes closer, they're gonna go there, right? Because it's just easier. So that is an interesting thing, especially with the rate of unemployment has started to really skyrocket right now. So things, I mean, and we being one of the highest unemployment, um and our living standard is the lowest in the G7. Why is Canada's standard of living low? It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. We all know that. But then again, we just saw what happened in Vancouver to that young man, right? Who got pulled over and he was diagnosed and now he's in a mental hospital. We saw that, right? And it's all over TikTok. And he was just, I think his last post, because he did post from inside, but I think they took away his phone because he hasn't posted in 5 days on his Instagram of everything that he was handing out and he was looking into, and about China coming in and taking over all of BC, and the new laws that they are trying to pass within Canada. So he's coming out and he's saying these things. This is exactly what the Chinese government did. That's how they got rid of a lot of people. But the difference is this time is that we have social media. When the Chinese government or the Russians were doing it, there was no social media. So this is made a rounds all the way down to the States, all the way down to when I was in one of my uh deep astrology, they were talking about it. They were talking about it. And I'm just like, because they don't talk too much about what's happening up in Canada. It's usually all the United States. So I found it very interesting that that reached there. And then commenting about Canada becoming very communist and that it's very scary for Canadians. And one of the astrologers said, yeah, when he came up to Canada to do a talk, he was stopped at the border and he was detained for like 3 to 4 hours, being questioned about what he's going to be talking about. And he was coming, and this is when you had the body, soul, spirit expos and stuff, and the different expos that were, I don't know if we still have them because I don't go, but having those different expos, and he was coming in to talk and they detained him. Same with Kay Pacha, who lives down in Costa Rica. He's another astrologer who was detained, and they tried to find something on him, and they did. They found when he was 14 years old, he got picked up for having a joint. The guy, when he was detained, was in his like, was he 50 something, you know? And they refused to allow him into Canada at that time. So I find that funny because we also had a governor general who said that astrology and that, like astrology, should be outlawed in Canada. So Canada, I mean, even though you still have, like, I still do astrology, I still do, I do tarot cards and things like that, is becoming to a point where it may not be free to be able to do. I might find more restrictions in what I can do and say in Canada, right? So that's the other rabbit holes that I go down with everything. So there is these things that times that are really changing. I think that we really have to come back to a place, back to that Hierophant, and come back to a place of faith. Faith is not, and I posted this, faith is not knowing the outcome. Faith is taking the next step anyways. Like, I don't know the outcome, but I'm still going to take the steps forward to do what I do, to be able to say what I say, and return to my spiritual practice, return to my prayer, my meditations, and what is true, and question the things that I see, right? And seek wisdom instead of certainty. So that's where I feel a lot of this energy is coming in. It's getting people to really have a spiritual base, come into that spiritual, and that doesn't mean that you have a spiritual base that you go inside a building and you close the door behind you. As having a spiritual base is like coming out and standing up and saying, no, you got to go out there and speak from the heart. You got to go out there and be there and be that person and not be afraid. And that's part of, that's a lot of fear. Like those guys, talking about Himalayan salt. Well, you're kind of weird, aren't you? But no, let's look into it. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Let's find out more of the information on it. Is Bigfoot real? I think he is. I really do. Right? There's a lot of information and evidence that is out there that says Bigfoot's real. Right? I also believe in the Ogopogo. So if you don't know what the Ogopogo is, he's a sea mystical creature that lives in Okanagan Lake, where I grew up in Penticton. Loch Ness Monster. There's different mythological creatures that are around. And I do believe in them. I do believe that they're around. It's just one of those things. It's just what I believe. Sometimes I don't have evidence, but I do believe they're there. Yes, and I think they communicate at a higher vibration. I do too. Yeah. And I think there's portals too that they can go in and out of. Right? And it's also, the other thing is, like, if you go to like a provincial park or a federal park, like, I don't think that camping in a provincial or federal park is a good thing, because people go missing all the time. And it's not just missing, but and then children go missing quite a bit in provincial and federal parks that isn't talked about as well. So I think the other thing too is that a lot of parks were created for cover up of portals and cover up for other things that go on in the parks. Just, yeah. Just saying, like, I'm not a camper anyways. Like, I'm not going to go out camping in the middle of a forest. It's just, no. I know people that do it and they love it and everything else. And God bless you. You go do you, boo. You go do you, right? Isn't one of the Great Lakes one? Probably, yeah, definitely. The Great Lakes, I mean, you got, I couldn't even name them all except Lake Superior. But I think that there's a lot of craziness that goes around them. Mark's safe from camping, but we don't go to provincial campgrounds. Yeah, but you guys don't camp you camp in a camper kind of thing. So maybe that makes a difference. And yeah, but I mean, I'm just saying, like, there's just things, or people who've gone hiking out in provincial parks and stuff. that go missing and then they're never found again. They don't know where. They can't even find the bodies, right? And stuff like that. Hello, Mr. Tracy. Mr. Tracy saunters out with his dog, sauntering out behind him. But I feel like there's all of this, and then we got the energies of doorways. Like I feel like perhaps we've been resisting for our own selves because we've gotten so comfortable in our ways of doing things that there are doorways that are opening up for us, and that we have to start walking through these new doorways and trusting, having the faith and going through it and doing these things. It's just one of those things. Charlene says hello. Oh, hi, he says. And okay, here's the other thing. Maybe a new subscriber. What's coming towards me? What? A new subscriber. Cinderella. Hello, Cinderella. What's coming towards me? I don't know what's coming towards you. Hello, hello, hello. Can I ask next? Well, people weren't asking anything, but go ahead, Cinderella. Ask me a question. Come on. We were talking about the Hierophant. So we're talking about spirituality and bringing spirituality and having a foundation and what that foundation is, right? And making sure that you have a strong spiritual foundation, because it's what's coming towards you. When you say what's coming towards you, let's bring out the cards. When you say what's coming towards you, what does that mean to you? Like, because a lot of things can be coming towards you, but what are you opening up and being prepared to, right? What are you opening up? Because you have a lot of opportunity that's around you, but you're not stepping forward. You're almost waiting for something to knock down your door and grab you by the arm and say, here, we're going this way. But the opportunities that are coming in for you are like, okay, I got to get up off my ass and walk through the door and put an effort towards them, right? So if there's an opportunity, and especially when it comes to work and new opportunities for work and alignment for bringing in that prosperity and abundance. I think right now where you are, you're kind of in a stalemate of life. I feel like you're just in some kind of stalemate and just in a stalemate, and you're not moving in any direction. You're just expecting something. It's like praying to God and saying, I tried that and nothing happened. It's having that faith. It's having that of stepping forward into opportunities and allowing yourself to, you got to get out there. The Hermit card, he's reversed. You got the knowledge, you know what you should be doing, but it's reversed. It's saying, okay, you can't be hiding away. You got to get out there. You got to allow yourself, if you got your CV, get your CV out there. If you're not getting a response from your CV, maybe you have to go start knocking on doors. Right? So if you're wanting to have those new opportunities and you want something to come towards you, right? It's not just going to come towards you. That's not where the energy is. The energy is that you have to go. You have to go out and meet. You have to get into the meet and greets. You have to and you got to allow your face to be seen. If you're not allowing your face to be seen, no one's going to pay you any attention. If you're hiding away, you can't do that. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. Right? So the Hierophant's saying you got to get your ass out there. And not hide away. And with that, you got the Tower card. So the Tower card just came in for you. So the Tower card is saying, you know what? Things in your life are going to be breaking away. You're not going to like how it's going to be breaking away, but you got to get out there and move, because things are breaking away. When the Tower card comes in, that means things, your path, what you are building your life on, your structure is not sound. It's not sound. What is your spiritual structure? Are you doing prayers? Are you doing meditation? Are you giving it up to the Holy Spirit and asking for inner peace and a miracle? Or are you just sort of like, oh, whatever, right? And with that, we'll pull out a card to go with the lovely Tower card. And the Tower card gets you to really start seeing how your life is, right? Yeah. It's walking away. You've built things. You've built some beautiful things up, but it's time to move. It's time to move. You're moving in a whole new direction. And if you don't want to move, you're going to be moved. things are going to move you. Energy is going to move you. Situations are going to move you, right? All of a sudden you're going to find out, well, why? Oh my God, I thought I paid the electrical bill. Your electricity is going to go out. Oh, I thought I did that. It's just that because I haven't made the move to make the money to pay the bill. And that's what's coming in right now. And that's if you want to know what's coming in for you, that means you got to get up off your ass and start, okay, what are those moves I have to make in my life? What are those changes I have to make in my life that are different than the ones I've made? There you go. Be careful what you ask me. Just never know what's going to come up. So there was this on Instagram. Let's see. Oh, where did it go? Hold on. I'll just go to who I sent it to. Oh, there we go. Reality. So on Instagram, where am I? There I am. I only just moved to my new place. Okay, you just moved to your new place, right? Now what are you going to do? Right? So you moved into a new place. What is it that you need to do with that new place? Do you need to get out there and move and find out who's in your community? Do you need to get involved in the community? Do you need to find out who your neighbors are? That's the movement that's coming in, right? It's saying you got to get out there. Okay, I moved into my new place. I've created this new place. Now, what else do I want to create? What's the next step do I need to do? And how am I doing it? Because it's good that you moved to a new place. That's beautiful. But this energy is saying that, okay, but I got to really get out there. I got to really be involved with what's around me and who's around me and not hide away. So the reality revolt, he came in. I sent this to a few people. Talking about the new Minion movie that's coming out. And I love it because he puts things together that you wouldn't normally put together, right? And he's putting all these pieces together. So, and this is supposed to be a children's movie. Yeah. So that's supposed to be a kids movie that's coming out. Are you sure it's to do with the place I'm living with or with family or love? With your whole life, everything in every part of your life, right? This is this energy that's coming in and around you and this movement of coming in. Whatever you want in your life, however you want it, you have to go out there and get it. No matter if you want a good relationship, then you have to go out and get the good relationship and work with a good relationship. You can't just expect someone else to do it for you. That's what I'm saying. You wanted to know what's coming towards you. What's coming towards you is opportunities. New things are coming in, but you got to be able to walk out and take them and go forth with them. Right? You can't just sit around and wait. That's where it's at with this energy for you. And it's not scary. You can take it as an adventure, as a newness, as something new coming in. And if you're trying to do things the same old way that you've always tried to do it, It's not going to work, right? If you have issues with family and you've been working with family and family, you've had problems with family and you're trying to work it out the same old way, it's not going to work. If family is not aligned with you, or you don't feel family's aligned with you, and you're trying to make it work, why are you continually trying to make it work with them? Why are you pushing it? It's just going to cause you more heartache. It's going to cause you for the tower to come in. So you also have to look at what isn't working in my life. What is it that I have to walk away from? And it's going to be emotional, because that's what, the cups were. It's emotional. And you set them out, they're all set up beautifully. Okay, you've done it, but now you're walking to something new. Everything is telling you to walk to something new, to walk towards newness and doing things in new ways in your life. There you go. So going back to the minions, that whole thing about the minion thing, I sent it to my daughter too, and she was quite disgusted with the whole thing, because there's just so much blatancy of that type of energy that's coming out in people's face as well, right? Do you see a new love? Now you're asking another question. You asked what's coming towards you. Do you see new love, or my ex returning? Why would you want your ex? Why would you want him? You didn't want him. You didn't want him before. Now you want him again? If you want new love, if you want something new in your life, you have to get out. If you want something different, if you've been hanging out at the Tim Hortons and that's all you've been dating, and you're tired of hanging out at Tim Hortons, go to a different coffee shop. Go to Starbucks. Go to a different type of in a different neighborhood. You want something new and different. Why are you going to go back to get something that's old? It didn't work the first time. Don't want to go back to something that didn't work the first time. Right? So this is you moving towards something new and creating, and it's going to be disruptive. It's not going to be perfect. It's not. Just by the cards I pulled for you, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be difficult. But you have the energy that you want things to be an Instagram perfect, but it's not. You got to get uncomfortable. You got to get into the nitty-gritty. And relationships aren't easy. They're difficult, because it's conversation, it's vulnerability. It's allowing yourself to sit and have conversations with people that might be uncomfortable, in order to create, and creating something of a lifetime. Right? So yeah, it's not easy out there. It's difficult. It is. And we're in a time that is of difficulties. The old stories. You can't stay with the old stories. Sag full moon. We got a full moon approaching, right? So you're standing between an old story and a new story. That's what this moon is, right? So you need more information. The old stories, I need more information. I need, the new story. I have enough information to take the next step. You know who you are. You know what you like. Today isn't about having every answer. It's about becoming the person and willing to walk towards them, right? Trusting in your wisdom. But there's a lot of uncertainty out there. There's a lot of unknowns, and people aren't used to that. They're not used to the unknowns. They're not used to trusting and having faith. And saying, you know what? I know God has my back. I know I'm going to go forward and do this and create something new, right? And building that foundation, and that spiritual foundation is very important, right? It's an asshole. It's assholes. Yes. Yeah. So it is hard. But much blessing, and thank you for subscribing. So I think she might have left because she didn't like my answers, but that's okay. I mean, sometimes I say things and it's difficult. You want the perfect painted picture right now, and it's very difficult to have the perfect painted picture for people. It's just not there. So let's pull a card for everyone here. That was fun. Nice name, Cinderella. Let's see what's here for everyone. Probably. That's fine. But a lot of times when people are looking for that, they're looking for the answer for them. They want their answer, right? And that's why one of the things that even when people are at psychic fairs, they'll go to all these different psychics to find out what answer fits right for me. And that's not a good thing too. Ooh, look at this. This came up before. 8 of Swords. So 8 of Swords, there's movement, definitely. Swords are down, movement's coming. It's not an easy thing, but there's a difficulty that's coming in. Right? But we're moving to new shores. We're moving somewhere different. And as we're moving to somewhere different, let me just shuffle these up a bit. It comes up again then. But I feel like there's some really big movements that are happening for people and going. And this full moon, it's a powerful moon. There's a lot of beautiful energy with this moon, and bringing in something creative and allowing for creativity to come in with this moon. And with that, yeah. So it's like to say, stop juggling, right? Everybody's trying to juggle things. It's just let the fucking balls fall. Let them fall. Let them go, right? Stop trying to juggle shit because you're trying to make it the same way I always had it. And it's not going to be the same way, right? It's not going to be created in the same way. And as you do that, yeah, justice comes in. Yeah, everybody wants it fair. I want it fair. Was it fair? I didn't get a ribbon. I didn't get a ribbon. Give me a ribbon. Well, not everybody's going to get a ribbon. It's not fair. Life is not fair. We did not sign up to this world to be fair. But the thing is if you're moving to somewhere new, if you're creating something new, don't try and make it like you used to have it. Right? Do something different. Get out there more. Right? If you're moving to a new place and you're wanting a new start, many people will go back to their old ways of doing things. Go to a local book club. Join something that you don't usually join. Go get out and meet with people. And that's part of it, but not everything's, you might not like it. That's okay. Well, you don't like it. You don't have to like it. Go somewhere else. Right? Let's create things that you do like. Let's create the way that you do want to. Let's create the community that you do love to be with. And go from there. There you go. Crazy world we're in right now. Lots of crazy energy, a lot of nuttiness, that's happening at this time. And I feel like we just have to allow ourselves to put one step in front of the other. We may not know all the answers, but yeah. So it's supposed to rain like crazy this weekend in Calgary. Right now it's beautiful blue skies, but we are heading into some real heavy rainfall. They're calling for floods. So anybody in the lower lying areas of Calgary are going to find the flooding and stuff like that. So what is the dam in Calgary here? They've released a lot of water in the dam and stuff. So for the water levels, because the amount of water that's going to be coming in. Anyways, that's what's happening here in Calgary. But On that note, those who are on my ghost walk, you've been notified. So I'll talk to you guys all soon, and thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.